Okay, somebody asked me something fun or something, anything you want.
What are you building now?
What am I building now? I'm building a step for Dagwood for the end of the bed. I don't want to talk about it. I mean, anyone it's kind of my current sort of what I'm like going through right now is like just kind of realizing, finally having to accept that maybe my dogs are old, which is crazy when they're like 13 and 14. You think this would have like hit by now. But I'm just trying to do little things that just prevent sort of any unnecessary. And then my mom actually pointed out, I posted that he's having a heart, like I have to lift him up into the cart. My mom's like, you have to lift me up into the cart. My car, like my 35-inch tires on the seat alone. And I was like, all right, so if I had, maybe he'd be fine in like I don't know, like a sedan or something. So I'm kind of working on like some little, and it's another, you can't fail, right? It's a box, it's a step. The shed was a little humbling, so I'm setting myself up for success, but more straightforward.
Bar came out good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
The tiki, wish we were all there right now. I love that tiki bar. Willie was like, oh, I don't really know. Now he loves it.
I love your relationship with your mom, and I
Me too.
currently have a 14-year-old boy that I'm in love with him, and I want to keep being in love with him, and I want him to love me when I'm old. So what advice, or what did your mom do when you were younger to make it safe for you?
My mom was very honest with me, and maybe sometimes too much, but I also just think like mainly she was honest about like, I never felt like my mom was infallible or that my mom didn't make mistakes. And so it made it okay for me to make mistakes. And yeah, my mom was just honest with me. She talked to me about the very human things she was going with. And I'm sure, I mean, obviously now as an adult, I know she held back a lot. But still, it was like, I didn't think she was like a superhero. And I think that's kind of scary at first because you want your kids to like listen to you. I know everything and I know everything that's best for you. But I think just she always seemed very human to me. And that made her much more, and I know my friends feel the same way, like my mom was always the one that we could call, and she still would give me a hard time, she gives me a hard time all the time. Yeah, crisis, my jeans didn't come out of the dryer in time. But yeah, I just think, I feel like she didn't talk to me like I was a dumb kid. She talked to me like I was a kid, but like, I think kids are so much more intuitive. They're already picking up on stuff. You might as well tell them. So otherwise they're just gonna start telling themselves stories in their head. And I know that's hard, it's a fine line to walk, but I just feel like it gives your kids permission if you say things like, you know, that was my mom made a mistake. Like, I really messed that one up. That gives you're like, wow, okay, then I can just say like, I made a mistake. So that's sort of the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah. So I've already heard stuff so far, that's second, but sounds living someplace that's very, very remote, right?
Yes.
So I'm thinking moving someplace very remote, but there's how do you manage that?
I am either on or I'm off. So my life, despite, I always say, I wish that Moab and where my fiance has a house, my out-of-state husband does. That's kind, I go up there and do my like social, seeing people building a tiki bar, because I like invite people to it. But then when I'm down in Moab, I am like in the wind. Like no one can get a hold of me. And so I feel like I like having that balance. But yeah, it's definitely hard. Like there was a time in 2021 where I don't think I put this in the book. No, I didn't. That's right. I took this out. My car had broken down and I realized like I could have, you know, I called it my car insurance, roadside assistance, whatever. And I was sitting there and I realized like I don't have anybody. I have nobody right now to be like, come pick me up. They're gonna, like, if I bring my car, I stayed in a motel next door to the mechanic shop with the dogs, and I was like, you have nobody. And that was like, I was like, this is too much.
You need to try to talk to people.
But I think you would be surprised, like small towns, I think they're really intimidating. But there's so many great people everywhere, and also I just think like if you can have like, for me, what I love when I'm down in Moab now, even as I'm like no longer this like crazy hermit, I still love my alone time, but if I were to go down to Moab and not see somebody for 3 months, that would be weird now, like as like a healthier version of myself. So I like to have like visits, like, okay, my mom is coming this month, and then I've got like 3 weeks doing my own thing, and then my friend MK is gonna come down, and so that sort of made it feel less daunting to sort of lean into getting used to spending a little bit more time on your own than maybe you were before. Yeah. Just have somebody who can pick you up from the good. Moab doesn't have Uber either. Anybody else?